Wow.
Sick.
It's good to be back. Yeah, so we were talking about doing a crab boil, seafood boil in the New York Public Library. You haven't seen it. It hasn't happened in your 10 years.
Are we recording right now?
Sure.
No.
I don't know.
This is all off the record.
But do people masturbate at that library?
I mean, no, I haven't seen it. I mean, people watch questionable videos.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
And if you ever wonder where like all the weirdos on Reddit and the people posting weird YouTube
they're
comments,
posting from there.
They're posting from there.
Yeah.
Like I see there's people who come in like every day and they're dressed in very strange stuff and they have like tons of newspapers.
They're
Yeah.
dressed like Neo.
I love that.
Yeah.
I used to go right at the 53rd Street Library across from MoMA, and there was always like dudes waiting for it to open.
Oh, yeah.
And they would go directly to a computer, and they would you would just see them like open up and it was also funny because for some reason you could tell that they were not doing well in life, but they would always wear like a suit that was like 2 sizes too big and like mismatched. Like they would dress up to go do their like online trolling.
Or they wear overcoats. They wear like trench coats and like a t-shirt underneath. There's one guy in particular I have in my mind, this guy who's there every day, and he wears his trench coat and this like ratty t-shirt that
Backpack, probably.
Your
Yeah,
biological father.
Yeah, probably. Most
I
likely.
remember when we were living together on DeKalb,
Yeah.
I would go to the library like on DeKalb
Yeah,
to
I know
like
that
print
one.
stuff out.
The Brooklyn Library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've never felt more impoverished
Yeah.
than like going to a library to
Nothing will
print
make
things
you
out.
feel more impoverished than using like public services.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're like, like in the ideal state, that is how it should work. When you need things, the state provides. But you really feel like a loser in America when
Even
That's
if you're
so
just
sad.
like waiting to send a letter at the post office,
Yeah.
I'm like, I am poor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
and you get treated that way too.
Yes,
Because, like,
absolutely.
they know that you're not important, so they're
Yeah.
like, "I'll treat you that way."
I remember my first year back in New York, 2018. I was not doing well in life. I had kind of bottomed out in LA, and it was my birthday, and I was living with Mike and Deb.
Yeah.
And I went down to go to the bodega or flirt with the barista at what's that coffee shop?
What was that coffee shop called?
I loved that coffee shop mainly because
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Yeah, of course.
No, I can't believe I can't remember the name.
There's
of
just some teenager with long nails.
Yeah.
like, click clacking away.
Destiny, and I was just like, "Hey, what's up, girl?" She was like, "Hey, Andy."
Hey, white boy.
Hey, Mr. Andy. But I went outside and my birthday package was torn open in front of my house.
Oh, yeah. I
And
remember
the only
that.
reason I knew is because I saw the wrapper to a card and it was my mom's handwriting and it said Andy on it. And so I went to the post office and I was like, "Yo, what happened? My mom had insured it and everything." And they were just like, "What do you want us to do?" Like, yeah, we are not giving you your money back kind of thing.
What
And
was it? Did you find out what it was?
it was like some treats.
Oh,
and
okay.
then my mom had put like $200 in the envelope.
She insured it and she still didn't get the money back?
No,
That's
because you
messed
have
up.
to get the post office to do the due diligence. And they're like,
Yeah.
you could barely get
God.
them to
That's
bring.
Isn't it
brutal.
illegal to send money?
No.
No.
I'm
It's
pretty
just
sure
really,
it's-
it's really dumb to send cash. That's the only thing. That's why people send.
So you're calling my grandma dumb?
your grandma's the dumbest person I've ever
What
heard
a
of.
bitch.
Yeah, what an
Isn't
idiot.
it wasn't Anita?
It was Anita.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sending cash in the mail is like, it's pretty. It's pretty-
cool.
It's cool. It's
It's
cool.
cool.
It's cool. Like skydiving is cool.
Yeah, it's
but
sexy.
it's very sexy and risky and
Yeah.
and dangerous.
All our aunties and
Yeah.
uncles.
But it's very it's reckless. It's also
Oh,
very reckless.
It's not. Yep, your guys are right. Not illegal.
No, it's not. Why would it be illegal?
That's like something that your parents told you.
Yeah, that's why they haven't sent
That's
me
why
money.
they never send you money. We don't want to go to jail, Wilfred. You're on your own.
Wilfred, we would
Wilfred.
send Wilfred, we would send you money,
No
but
money.
it is legal.
Yeah.
Can you wire it to me? It's also illegal
That's also
to wire
illegal.
money.
Transferring money is
Yeah.
illegal. Transferring money from one person to another.
Yeah, that's
Zelle,
actually
illegal.
illegal.
Venmo, illegal.
It's
Yeah,
illegal.
it's interstate currency traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Being on our
illegal.
family plan, illegal.
Using your dad's car, illegal. That's great. So our guest today is a very funny comedian and
probably our most the guest that probably
has some of the most information.
Yes.
Yeah.
God,
wow.
Damn.
Wow.
Tom Delgado.
Hey,
Tom Delgado.
Do you want to be
Thank you so much.
Tomas? Tom?
Oh, Tom's
Tommy.
good, man. Just call me Tom.
T. Dot.
Tom's good, man. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Tom's my first friend in New York.
I know. I remember this.
And Andy put me in touch with you.
Yeah.
Andy put me in touch with you.
He was Andy was my vouch.
He was your vouch.
to get you on the
And the
Poco show.
Yeah, the Wednesday show. And then,
And Tom,
the rest is history.
you hail from South Florida?
Central Florida, actually. Tampa, Florida.
Oh, nice.
Been in New York for 14 years.
A denizen of Ybor City? A product of Ybor City?
Yeah, a product of Ybor City.
What's Ybor City?
Ybor City is just like this
Cuban neighborhood.
It was a Cuban neighborhood where they made tons of cigars and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just it fell into disrepair. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
When I was there, and now it's like they're building it back up again.
It's kind of the hipster.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really be a hipster in Tampa, but if you were going to be a hipster in Tampa, you would hang out in Ybor City.
Yeah.
There's probably some coffee shops that, like, try.
They fixed up old buildings. They made them nice. They charge $5 for them.
I think Tampa gets a really bad rap.
I agree, man.
And I think Tampa's actually a pretty nice city.
It is a pretty cool place. I agree. It's gotten it's actually grown a ton too right now lately. Like a lot of people from the South are just kind of gravitating towards Tampa.
But I think it will be underwater in 20
not
years.
before Miami. Miami is going to be underwater way sooner. I think it's
all of Florida.
What's the worst part of Florida?
Worst part? How?
Panhandle.
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on what you mean.
Is
but the Panhandle,
That's the part close to Alabama,
Yeah.
Georgia.
got
the
it.
Redneck
Yes.
Riviera.
Got it. Okay.
That's right.
That is the wider, kind of more just like in and out vacation. Like it all kind of looks like Myrtle Beach. It's
It's like Panama City is there. Destin, Florida.
Spring break.
Pensacola. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a NASCAR race.
That's Daytona.
Yeah.
That's on the East Coast. That's near Orlando.
Got it.
Orlando's central between.
So Orlando is right across from Tampa on the Atlantic side, and then Tampa's on the Gulf side.
Yeah.
And then it's Miami's south at the tip.
Yeah, I know.
And then you have
some
the
of
Key
that.
West. and all
Where's
that.
Sarasota?
Sarasota's south of Tampa on the Gulf Coast.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's a place where if you're like, oh, I'm from Tampa, they're like, oh, I have family in Tampa. I'm like, let me guess, you have a grandma in Naples or Sarasota. And everyone's like, yeah, how'd you know? I'm like, yeah, that's everyone.
I got asked to go to Sarasota to, I forget what club is over there. McGurdy's, I think.
What was the offer?
Well, it was to
$500.
it was not
No
a
air.
Free dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was chicken fingers.
Yeah.
and
Crabs.
and an old beer. And I didn't go because the pandemic happened, but I was just like there's no way that I'm going to have a good time there.
Yeah. No, I've done comedy. You've done comedy in Florida. Side splitters can be fun.
I've never done Side Splitters. That place is pretty good, and I think the Improv in Tampa is pretty good. And there's a bunch of independent shows there in Tampa, at least I know that. And like Miami's got some stuff.
But it is a weird. It's that you've never performed in Las Vegas, but there's something about certain. It's like Atlantic City in a way where it's like if you're performing at certain places in Florida, it's so vacation heavy that there's no continuity to the people.
Well, that's the thing I think of Florida generally. It's kind of a grab bag of the kind of people you're gonna get in Florida. That's actually what makes I think kind of Florida a little interesting too. Is that you can't really put a finger on what Florida is.
It doesn't make sense. I was thinking about this today because my friend was on a Zoom call from, I want to say, Orlando or something. It was like he was outside of like an amusement park kind of thing. I could see water slides, and he was down there on like family vacation. Older guy, has kids, but it's just so weird to me that like a tropical place with all this like lush beauty, and it's kind of a fertile place. You can grow fucking guavas, and there's Latin culture down there, but for some reason it's also like full of like some of the most militant gun carrying Americans in the world. Like it doesn't make how you would get to be that. I can see it if you live in fucking the part of like Dade County where all the like Haitian zoos are, but like.
Well, I think it's people forget that Florida was for a long time backwater for the United States. Like no one really lived there, hung out there, did anything until like later than a lot of the rest of the South.
So it was neglected.
Pretty much. I mean, it was Spanish. Like they took it from the Spanish like fairly late, and then it was basically like
probably like 1900s.
1987.
Oh,
no,
wow.
I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. No. It was like in the early 1800s. It was actually like, Andrew Jackson was sent down there to squash the Native Americans, the Seminole Indians, who were down there. And
long history of nice guy.
Yeah, but it was really like it wasn't until like the railroad started to kind of connect this is like in the second half of the 1800s that all these cities were developed.
Wait, was Florida part of the United States when the Civil War happened?
So I can't remember the exact year that it was pulled.
Because we got all that Spanish stuff, like Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Philippines.
Well, you're thinking of the Spanish American War.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's
but
1898.
Florida was not part of that.
No, Florida was not part of that. That was way before. Yeah. It was
I
way
can't
before.
imagine that we would like just let a piece of.
Well, the thing is, Florida was also difficult to inhabit
Florida
because it was
was
marsh.
founded in 1845.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
Damn.
That's pretty late. That's pretty late.
And there was probably like some sneaky Spaniards hanging out down there. So you'd go down and you'd be like, oh, let's make a farm here. And then they would kill you.
And it was because it was a backwater. It was actually a lot of runaway slaves.
Okay.
A lot of runaway slaves there. It was it was a lot of Native Americans still there. There was multiple Seminole wars, like where they basically went in to try to eliminate the Seminole Indians, and they were just fighting back and making life miserable for the soldiers who went down.
The Seminoles must love that they're now the mascot. For
FSU. It's really. I mean, it was only until recently that they stopped an actual man dressed up as a Seminole Indian and
not necessarily a Seminole
Chief Osceola,
either, right?
No. And
he would dress up like
a Seminole, Chief Osceola. He'd go out in the middle of the field and throw a spear in the middle of the field to start kind of the
football game.
I gotta say, I miss those days.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
I was the mascot of my high school.
Really?
We were the Fighting Irish.
Yeah.
And we thought,
were you really? Are you making this up?
I'm serious.
Did you put on I don't think I knew this.
They thought it was so funny.
Did you put on a helmet? Like,
no, I wore like a so we were maroon and gold. Those were our colors. So I wore like a yellow button-up shirt with a maroon like tuxedo vest. And then and a bow tie and like a one of those like
bowler hats.
Yeah, bowler hat.
Wait, you didn't?
And I carried a shillelagh around.
What?
Yeah.
And you would run around the game and just like, oh, that's amazing.
Whenever we scored a touchdown, I had to run up, and it was.
Did you have pictures of this?
Maybe.
You got to find these pictures.
That's amazing, dude.
But whenever we scored a touchdown, I had to run up and down the field with a flag, the O'Day.
Yeah, I know that.
A flag, and we were such a good team.
Yeah, they were a really good football club.
Would score like 40-something points a game, and I fucking hated it.
Because
I had to run 200 yards.
How the hell did you even get this job? How'd you end up doing this?
He was breakdancing one day outside of a pedophilic father's rape den.
Yeah, I was doing the robot.
in your underwear?
Yeah,
of course. Oh my god.
That is O'Day High School, if you guys didn't know. Seattle's only all boys Catholic
Washington's
school.
You went to an all guys Catholic? So did I.
Really?
I went to a Jesuit high school in Tampa, Florida. All guys Catholic high school. Yeah.
Nice. What was it called?
Was it fun?
Jesuit. Was it fun? Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Mine was so fun.
It was pretty fun. It was, in hindsight, I look back, I'm like, it's kind of weird. But it was fun. It was like it felt like, I guess, kind of like a very it was kind of a fratty vibe, I guess, in hindsight. But it was weird, I guess. I remember one priest got fired a couple years after I left for the allegations of stuff. And then while I was actually the year after I left,
did he go? Wait, was it full blown sex?
I don't think so. I think he got accused of stuff, and they just tossed him.
Okay,
rare for the church.
It was a big, huge scandal. But
did you get diddly-dopped?
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh no, not at school. No. I
was like, what's happening right now? Is he remembering? Your nose starts bleeding.
Yeah, exactly. My eyes just start bleeding.
Yeah.
No, there was a guy, a kid who got the FBI. He got arrested by the FBI on campus because he was downloading child porn. Yeah.
Oh, really?
The FBI came to the school.
Student.
Yeah.
Wow.
A student got arrested, and obviously he got expelled and everything, but he got arrested on campus.
And that brings me to our next sponsor,
Exactly.
ExpressVPN. No,
there's one time I remember this was at the end of junior year. some reason we had like a cop. It was like the last day, and a cop just came in to do like a don't drink and drive presentation. I think the teachers were like, we're kind of done.
He breakdanced
in his underwear.
In his underwear.
Yeah.
But so he's doing this don't drink and drive presentation, and I don't know if you guys know, it's like you would put on like the drunk goggles and you'd see what it's like to be drunk, which like is not what it's like. My friend Steve was drunk. He came to school drunk,
and then he put on the drunk goggles.
Yeah,
and then he was normal,
and he threw up. He blacked out.
Did he really?
No, but the cop smelled the alcohol on him, and they sent him home.
Wow.
Really?
Oh, that's good. You get in
What a
trouble.
fucking narc.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, the kids. I remember at our school, kids would show up on stuff all the time. Kids would show up on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Probably on much heavier stuff.
Yeah, heavier
than that.
stuff. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I guess.
Did
when
you
it's
guys
all-
do your formals with a sister school?
Yes, there was a sister
Yeah.
school, and then they were the cheerleaders for the.
Tell me
for the-
about it. Tell
was,
me, was some thick booty chongas out there?
Oh, that's exactly. It was Thick Booty Changa High.
Yeah.
That was the name of the school, actually.
Yeah.
What was their mascot?
It was Wilfred running around, actually, just back in a different outfit.
It was a Cuban girl dressed like Wilfred.
Yeah.
But speaking of thick women,
Yeah.
this is my transition into our topic today.
Ah, yes.
Tom's going to tell us a little bit about the Statue of Liberty.
Well, we
So-
should also say Tom is a comedian, but he is also a licensed.
That's right. Licensed New York City tour guide. You have to get a license in New York. And I've been a tour
You've
guide.
also got, we got to shout out the YouTube page.
Oh yeah. I have a YouTube page, Tom DNYC, where I talk about stuff about New York and you know.
And a pretty popular TikTok.
No, I don't really do TikTok.
Wait, I thought I saw.
the YouTube page is the most popular thing I have.
Is that where I've seen you?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't really do the TikTok thing. I can't be
Insta?
on that for too long. If I'm
No.
on there for more than like 5 minutes, I start getting anxiety.
That's why the state of Arkansas is suing them.
State of Arkansas is actually suing them for
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Oh wow.
It's too addictive.
It
Oh,
is.
really?
It's crazy. I mean, like the way they format the
Can they
little-
sue Instagram too?
No, because Instagram doesn't have the same kind of threshold for.
But those reels, buddy, they got
But
they got a hold
the
on me.
difference is that you have to go into Reels and stay in Reels.
Oh, as opposed to just opening it and it just starts
Oh, yeah.
bombarding
yeah,
you.
TikTok is just a bombardment.
Yeah, it
from day
really.
one.
I can't do it. I can't be on there for too long. It's
The one
terrible.
thing I do love about TikTok, though, I will say, is that you can see just some of the most morbidly obese, sickly, just birth defected people
just doing like this,
doing weird dances or like trying to do like samurai stuff. You know, it's just like you really get to see a cross section of humanity.
You get to see a cross section of humanity doing dances.
Yeah.
Is really what it comes down to. I mean, because you can see a cross section of humanity on YouTube, you can see a cross section, but everywhere. But on TikTok, everyone's just doing weird shit.
It's great.
It's really crazy.
I love
and
it.
Strange.
I love just seeing like just some lady with one arm and her kid is just making her run in circles or something.
I remember I was on once and I was like, why is this getting suggested to me? It was people who had lost like hundreds of pounds playing with all their loose skin. I was like, why would you start an account to do this? It didn't make sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
I went down a horrible thing on Instagram that fucked up my algorithm for months,
Oh,
which
dear
was
God.
the blackheads.
Popping
yeah.
zits.
Yeah.
Oh dear Lord.
And like people that had really big blackheads, and then I would watch them just nonstop, and then I was like, this is disgusting, and I stopped. But all of my suggestion for like 3 or 4 months, I had to go through everything and be like, do not suggest,
Yeah,
do not
yeah.
suggest.
By the
Oh,
way,
you can do that? I
Yes.
didn't know you could do that.
By the way, your skin's looking pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a haircut and I shaved today.
And you pop
You
some
got a new
blackheads.
regimen? New skincare regimen?
Yeah, I do.
Tell
Makeup.
us about it.
I'm
Oh,
doing
really?
Makeup, male makeup.
Oh, okay. The topic today.
Oh,
we
yeah.
forgot. The topic today, Tom's going to tell us about the real story.
Well, yeah. So you
Of
can
the
Lady
say
Statue-
Liberty.
Liberty Enlightening the World, Andy. That's the actual technical term. People call it the Statue of Liberty. That's actually a nickname. The actual name of the statue is Liberty Enlightening the World.
Gift from France?
A gift from from France.
I did a little bit of research on
Oh
this
yeah,
one.
what do you got? What do you got, Wilfred? Why don't you teach me then, huh?
Do you want to get it started? I can jump in, or
well, you look.
we can start with the few things that I know.
What's interesting is I've been to that island like probably 20 times back in the day when I would go with like groups and stuff. But I think it's funny because the Statue of Liberty had a little moment a few years ago when the Trump presidency, I guess, brought her up. It was Stephen Miller. I don't know if you guys remember this. This is kind of interesting that he brought it up as when people would say, using the liberty as like let immigrants in, all this stuff. Stephen Miller, you guys know who? You remember him? He brought it up actually.
Santa Monica High graduate.
That's right.
Yeah.
Our friend Charles Gould was his classmate. It's pretty funny. But anyways, he would say that, and truthfully, he was actually correct. He would say that it was actually a gift about the United States taking liberty to the rest of the world to kind of correct people and say it's not actually about immigrants. And technically, he's right.
Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, at the beginning, it was that. But when it actually evolved because of, the time that it was given to the United States and everything. But that's also, actually the thing. Liberty enlightening the world. It's supposed to be liberty leaving the United States to give liberty to the rest of the world. But as the years pass and when it was given, all these immigrants were coming in and it changed. And it's not, he wasn't right, but he was technically right.
Has it ever, how did it ship here?
They shipped it in pieces. I think like over 200 pieces.
So they originally the artist built it in France to see if it's going to be a real thing, and then after they built it, they took it down into pieces and brought it here.
Was there a lady it was based off of?
Well, they say the face is based on his mom, on Bartoldi's mom.
The body is based off his lady, his wife. The face was based off his mom.
Yeah, that's what they say.
So he's like Frankensteining. This is horny as hell.
Yeah.
It's very
Freudian. He's a hornball. His name's Frederic Auguste Bartholdi.
So he's Italian.
No, he's actually French. I just did the Italian accent for some reason. I don't know why.
If you made a statue with Rosebud's body
and Anita's
face.
I'm rock hard right
now. We're gonna have to take a break, a commercial break. Yeah, no, that's exact. So that's what he did. But it's interesting too because he actually, the whole thing, everyone thinks it's like this. The guy just wanted to make a huge statue. He was kind of like
he wanted to make the tallest statue, right?
He just wanted to make a statue that made him like live forever in a way. So he wanted to make the biggest statue ever. And then the only way he could get it built really was to have it be this representation of freedom and democracy that the United States kind of stood for. That's the only way, and he was going to be able to raise money for it.
How did he get in touch? Like, do we know how he because he's already building statues, I'm taking it.
So he built some statues and stuff. What was interesting is he actually based the statue design off a previous design. He was going to build a statue for the Suez Canal because the Suez Canal was finished in the late 1860s, early 1870s, and he wanted to build a statue there, a huge one. And they were like, "That's going to be too expensive. Get out of here, get lost." So he took that design. It was basically Egypt taking liberation to the rest of the world, is kind of something along those lines of title.
Yeah,
and it was basically a woman.
Is his deck that he's got
pretty
already.
Much. It just reuses the same idea. So he had it was this woman with a lantern, and it was gonna be a lighthouse giving light from her crown, and she was ripping chains at her feet like she was gonna be escaping, kind of. And based that idea.
That sounds tight.
Yeah, it was cool, and he based the idea of Lady Liberty on that. So it was rejected, and he kind of kept it in his brain. And then he met this dude who was like a professor, and he was like this guy who was in love with the United States. And he said, "Hey,
a French
man."
professor. Yeah,
his name was Edouard Laboulier, and he basically said to him, he's like, "Hey, man, you should make a statue to commemorate the United States because at that time, throughout the 1800s, France was going back and forth between republicanism and the Napoleon system. So at the time, like to celebrate the republicanism, he's like, you should make something, putting the French flag on the side of republicanism, but they couldn't put it in France because that was too contentious.
Yeah.
So they're like, just gift it to the United States,
Weird.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So then he's like, all right, that's a great idea. So under that umbrella, he's able to raise a lot of money from these groups in France, and he starts building it.
What's the steel? Where's the steel from?
It's actually copper.
Oh, wow.
It's actually
that's
copper.
what the patina's from.
That's exactly right. So when they actually gave it originally to the United States, it was brown because it's like penny.
Patina meaning why it's green?
Yeah, that's the oxidization of copper.
Yeah.
Can we get Autumn, can you pull up an original picture? I guess
it's going to be like
black and
painted or whatever. No, but I think they might have some colored drawings, like postcards from back in the day.
Oh, it being brown?
Yeah, it was brown initially, and then after a few years, it turned green, and that's why it's green.
Original Statue of Liberty.
Did he know it was going to turn green?
I mean, I'm sure they did. That's what copper does. And also, what's funny is that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like a penny. It was like a penny.
Oh,
that's cool. Oh, can you pull up that one that's like a color scale? Yeah, that one.
What if we?
Wow.
What if we put the Statue of Liberty in Coca-Cola?
It would dissolve. Yeah,
it would dissolve. Yeah,
it'd go back to brown, right?
They've never thought to clean it up.
They did clean it. They cleaned it, but it didn't turn it back to brown. But they cleaned it in the 80s for its centennial.
Wow.
But yeah, and it's also it's interesting because you see it and it looks so solid and sturdy, but the actual skin is like 3/32 of an inch thick. So it's like they say it's the size of 3 pennies put together.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
If you put 3 pennies and stack them, that's the thickness of the whole skin. It's really thin.
So it's just got a facade.
Yeah, it's like it's
over
basically like it's very hollow. You could puncture it pretty easily. And the interior, this is another fact. The interior, the actual
So
like
if they 9/11'd the Statue of Liberty, it would
you
have
could
just gone right
9/11 it
through
with you could 9/11 it with like a hang glider.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, I mean not the whole thing, but you can go through it pretty easily. It's pretty thin. It's pretty thin.
I don't
And
think
it's
anyone,
actually
I don't
too-
think it would affect any people though.
Yeah.
Well, there'd be people inside maybe, like some tourists from Wisconsin or something.
17 dead.
Have you been up in it?
I haven't been all the way to the crown, but I've been inside.
Is
yeah.
there an elevator or do you have to walk
No,
up?
you have to walk upstairs. Yeah, and it's all pretty narrow and everything in there, and it's pretty like stripped down.
Looks gross.
Yeah, I mean it's weird. It's like you're inside like a shell. It feels like you're in a shed or something. And it's the interior is actually designed by Gustav Eiffel of Eiffel Tower.
I knew that.
Why
He
did he
designed the
interior?
frame?
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the frame that holds it up.
So he got together with Bartoli.
Bartoldi recruited him, yeah, because the guy who was actually going to do it initially, I think, bailed, and then he got Eiffel at the time.
So this Bartoli's kind of a scam artist.
Well, he was kind of like this artist who was
Aren't
like
all artists?
he was a self-promoter. He wanted to be the guy.
But I
you know?
love that his pitch is just like that he like it reminds me of all these companies that like want you to like influence, like they'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, us at Dwilla want you to come on and
You got it
promote this
right.
product. He had that thing where he was like, do you need a statue? You know?
Yeah, but it was all for like him. Like he wanted to be this like guy to be remembered as the biggest. Like it was modeled after the idea of like the Colossus of Rhodes. He actually took a trip to like Egypt and all that area, and he got this idea to build a giant statue. He just wanted to build a giant statue, and this was kind of his.
How
play.
long was it the biggest statue in the world?
You know, I don't know how long. For a while, there's a few bigger ones now. There's some pretty gigantic ones in Asia.
Yeah, there's that one of the Turkmen.
Yeah, I think there's a few like giant Buddhas and all kinds of things out. And
The Statue of Unity is one.
There's that one that you can walk out on its hands in Vietnam.
there's some way bigger ones, but it's kind of interesting to think like
It's in India.
yeah.
Will you look up the world's largest statues?
Also
But when
I
this
think-
was finished, this was the biggest thing ever. You know, there was no back then. This is the 1886 when they
Statue of
dedicated
Unity.
it,
There it is.
and it wasn't. There weren't even buildings. This
Oh, it's
big. It was-
Gandhi. Yeah, that's right. I knew that.
that's Gandhi.
Yeah.
That doesn't look like Gandhi.
Oh, and look at you got a Virgin Mary in Batanga City. You guys are
Oh,
representing.
hell yeah.
We're always trying to shout out our Penang
But
Pinoy brothers.
Penang brothers.
Penang brothers.
Yeah. Also, Eiffel, I think, was the one who told him to make it copper.
maybe I don't
I
remember
think-
that exactly.
I think
but-
it was because he was going to originally make it like steel or
Oh,
iron,
okay.
and then
There it is,
they
56.
wanted something that can sway.
56.
The statue actually in the wind moves like 3
Right.
inches, and then the arm with a flame moves up to 6 inches.
Did the flame ever? Wasn't there another plan for the flame?
Yeah, well, initially the
It was
initial
gonna
idea
be a
they
big
pitched
penis.
It was gonna be a dildo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was gonna be Lady Liberty. She's free from men.
Yeah.
it was it was actually going to be a lighthouse. Initially, they pitched it as a lighthouse. That was one of the ways they got the federal government to kind of back it, because the federal government does commerce and like shipping and all
So
that
she was
stuff.
going to be holding a lighthouse in
and it
her
was actually
hand?
going to be a light. Yeah. But they didn't end up doing that. It's kind of wild because like you look at it, most of the height, half of the height is the actual
base.
pedestal and the base. The base is actually, believe it or not, a fort. They built that fort for the War of 1812. It's Fort Wood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they built a fort there on this island before the Statue of Liberty was even a thought. And they built one of many forts on this island to protect the island from the British. And then they put the statue on top of that fort.
Is the ferry out there free?
I think it's $18 last I checked.
You can take the
Free for tour guides. You know, it's pretty
can
cool.
take
You know
the-
Work of
the-
The
job.
Governor Island ferry now. There's a spa on Governor's Island.
There's a spa
Really?
on Governor's Island. Yeah, it's kind of wild.
It's that one that's in New Jersey, the
Yeah.
Fort Lee one. They opened up a branch
Yeah.
on Governor's Island.
Crazy.
Apparently, it's pretty nice.
Well, yeah, you have a spa, and they also have a glamping place on the Governor's Island now. It's
Really?
not open in the winter, but they're reopening it. It was open last summer, and they're reopening it this summer.
Should we all go?
To glamp, let's go
Yeah.
glamp and get
I would love
get a
to
nice
glamp.
get some nice facials and hang out on Governor's Island around like the ghosts of that place. But yeah, this the pedestal. This is kind of funny. When they gave the statue, you might have read this. That when they gave the Statue of Liberty to the United States, they didn't give anywhere to put it. They had to.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
They gave the United States the statue, and we're like, okay, here's a statue, and U.S. was
Did it come with instructions?
Yes, but it didn't have anywhere to put the thing. Like
was
they
like
had to
a-
buid a pedestal.
It was like an IKEA.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Did
they
it have
monkey
a picture
wrench.
of a little
monkey,
circle
had a
guy.
little monkey wrench. You just use a little monkey wrench and spin around.
Now here's a question: when they built it, where are all the robotics that they used to
In
make
Ghostbusters
it dance
2?
in Ghostbusters 2?
Yeah, well, that wasn't robotics. The slime actually did that. The slime,
the slime possessed
The slime
it.
actually did that. So that there weren't robotics. Actually, there's a special slime.
Does Bartoldi make an appearance in that scene?
No, actually, he doesn't. He's he did voice Slimer though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the voice of Slimer.
Was there anything? Just because we're gonna like probably move past Bartoldi, but was there anything nefarious about him? Like, was he a petter or anything like
No,
that?
not that I know of. He was actually. What's interesting is he fought in the Franco-Prussian War.
Nice.
And one of the reasons that like he kind of like shifted his thing to making it freedom and all that stuff because he saw some pretty terrible things in that war. His like hometown got beat up, and he actually, this is interesting. There's a statue in Washington Square of this guy Giuseppe Garibaldi, who's like the liberator of Italy.
Yeah,
and he worked under Garibaldi because Garibaldi helped fight in the Franco-Prussian War.
Oh,
and
wow.
Bartoldi was like his right hand man in that war. Isn't that nuts?
Does Bartoldi have a statue anywhere?
I don't know if Bartoldi has his own statue of himself. I don't think he does. But there is a
sucks.
museum in his hometown. They have a museum in his hometown in France. But he is like a...
That's going to be a hard one to Google. Autumn Bartoldi statue is going to probably just bring up
the Statue of Liberty. That's his one hit.
Is he dead?
I think he lives in Sarasota.
Is there anyone that has that picture, like a drawing of them, that's still alive?
No.
Unless it was like,
I don't even
made
think
on
that's
a
a drawing.
boardwalk.
I think that's called I think that's a daguerreotype.
A what?
Daguerreotype.
What's that?
It was an old form of photography that they used around like the Civil War.
You know what they say with those photos, like photography. The reason why everyone's so stern in old photos
Because it took hours.
Because it took so long.
Yeah.
But not only that, they also didn't want to fuck it up because it's so difficult to do them that people were afraid that they'd mess it up by smiling. And they wanted to just have a simple, straight up, here's what I look like type picture rather than like cheese and then like, I don't like my smile or my style. They just wanted to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
So
Autumn, Google Civil War soldier joking around. No, I'm serious. I just saw this the
Civil
other day.
War soldier pantsing another Civil War soldier.
This on the very very far
Oh,
left. This just was going around on.
Oh, wow.
What is that?
It's a Civil War soldier.
that is-
Taking his photo. He made a joke.
That's a good bit.
That's a good bit.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
look
good.
at this one. Look at the one with the gun to the head down there. That's pretty awesome. Oh, these guys are all messing around.
Man, Civil War seemed like a fun time.
That reminds me of the
Look at
bit-
him goofing.
Look at these guys. Yeah, that's actually not a goof. He actually shot that guy. There's a photo of a murder. Yeah, it's funny because that reminds me. Have you seen the Billy Ripken baseball card? Have you seen it's a
No.
famous baseball card. They call it the fuck face card because he's holding a bat and either his friends or he wrote fuck face on the bottom of the bat.
Oh wow!
And it's like a very expensive card because it's like an error. And once like Topps found it, they pulled, or there was Fleer, they pulled it out. It's right there on the bottom of the bat.
Yeah,
And it says fuck face on the bottom of the bat.
that's so Baltimore.
That is Baltimore.
How many years did it take to make the Statue of Liberty?
It took a few years. They gave it. They handed it. It took 6 years to actually put it together because they couldn't. They had to raise money for it. So they gifted it in 1880, and then it didn't get put up till 1886 because they had to raise money for it.
Well, they probably also had to build the base.
That's what I mean.
And
They had to
that
raise
took-
money and build the base, and it took 6 years. And it's funny because New York originally was like, we don't really want this, and no one really wanted it.
Yeah,
And so New York started like this like cheerleading group basically who riled people up to get it made, and other cities, they were pitching it to other cities. It almost got put up in Boston Harbor, but New York actually got their shit together. And one of the people who pushed really hard for it was Joseph Pulitzer, who was he's like a Pulitzer Prize. He was the guy who he was in charge of the New York World newspaper. And what he did to get people to donate was he promised to post everyone's name who donated anything. So people started donating like 10 cents just so they could see their name in the newspaper.
wow.
It was like before, obviously, Instagram, like Wilfred's checking right now.
I was looking up.
Yeah.
I remembered there was something about who was originally inhabiting Liberty Island, and I forgot who.
Well, it was called Bedloe's Island. It was originally this guy. The name was Bedloe of the group, a guy who bought it. It was bought. And it was one of many islands like in the island, but there wasn't really a whole lot of stuff going on. They had it as a quarantine station for stuff. It like used multiple
Spanish
things.
American flu, or no, they'd be too late.
I don't remember what it was for, but it was a quarantine station and other like
cooties.
Islands. It was a cooties quarantine.
There was a cooties
It was
outbreak.
all the teenage girls. They were all
trying to kiss all the boys.
No fourth grade girls allowed.
It said it on a sign in really crude drawing. No girls allowed. Cooties free zone.
Yeah, and all the boys were on Ellis Island, and they had a sign. Yeah. But no, it was. I don't remember exactly what it was. But then I think it was Ellis Island used to be used to hang people. It used to be like a.
Really? Was that where they did the big show?
Out.
Yeah, to dry them out. Yeah, like a clothesline.
Can you pull up just a map of New York Harbor? Because I kind of want to see the one thing I've been wondering about is that I feel like I think that's Liberty Island, and then
on
Ellis
the left?
is
Liberty Island's the small one. Ellis is the bigger one.
All the way at the bottom.
Yeah, there.
That's Liberty.
Yeah.
So because people talk about when they arrive in America on those ships, they see the Statue of Liberty, and that's why it became a symbol.
That's part of it, and a big part of it too was when they were trying to pitch the idea of the Statue of Liberty and getting people to raise money. One of the things they did was they had this woman named Emma Lazarus write a poem, and it's called New Colossus. It's the famous poem that give you're tired, you're poor, you're hungry.
Because I thought that was actually the Statue of Liberty saying that.
It was a statue. It's a Statue of Liberty.
I thought she spoke.
You put 25 cents in, and she talked.
You put a really big quarter in.
A huge quarter. But no, she made that poem. Welcome to the United States.
Like the Hall of Presidents on The Simpsons. That's so fun.
But no, she wrote this poem to help raise money. And this woman worked with all the refugees who were coming over from Russia at the time. And so she wrote this poem. And that's what changed it from Liberty going out to the rest of the world to basically welcoming immigrants.
Bring us your huddled masses.
Yearning to breathe free, that whole thing. Like she wrote that, and that kind of changed the vibe of it to welcoming everybody with the lamp or the torch, rather than leaving the harbor.
Can I ask you something? So, obviously, you know most of the tour guides in New York.
I know a lot of them. I haven't done it in a few years.
Is there like a goated one?
There is a guy. His name is
There's
Timothy.
the guy that's the trip guy.
The cruise.
Yeah, there's that guy.
Yeah.
But then is there like a guy that's like the Ricky Jay of?
Well, there's it's funny because
who's Ricky Jay?
He was an character actor, but he was a very, 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 very accomplished card magician.
Okay.
He could pierce like wood with a card throwing, and he could do all these like kind of tricks. But people considered him the best living card dealer.
Oh, okay.
Wow, I'd never heard of that guy.
Yeah,
you would recognize him. Pull up Ricky Jay.
Well, there's a guy.
Where do you rank in tours?
I have no idea. I know that there's a guy who wrote the exam, the test for tour guides. There's one of the guides wrote the actual test.
This guy.
Oh yeah, I recognize that guy. He's not a tour guide.
No. But like there's a guy that's like the goated.
There's a guy named Justin Ferrate who wrote the test for all the tour guides. So when you take it, you have to take the test to become a tour guide, and he wrote the test. So he's kind of one of those.
And then Timothy.
And then there's Timothy Speedlevich.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Timothy Dillon.
Yeah. No, well, he was a tour guide. He's a goat of a tour guide. But no, Timothy Speedlevich is the guy who was in the cruise, and then Richard Linklater found him and fell in love with him and put him in his movies. And then he actually had a show. He had a show on Hulu for his first season. Yeah.
Oh.
Where he did tour in New York. He did a few other tours Colonial Williamsburg and San Francisco and stuff.
Where's Colonial Williamsburg?
Virginia.
Yeah.
It's right next to King's Dominion.
Yeah. It's got a Busch Gardens.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A lot of roller coasters. Wilfred.
They just churn butter and Lululemon and
exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. That bit didn't really go anywhere, huh?
No, yeah. I was kind of wondering where the Lululemon came from.
Yeah, what is that?
Because it's our Williamsburg, Williamsburg.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, there's a Sweet Green.
Yeah. There's an artisanal cheese shop.
Yeah.
There's an Apple store.
There's an Equinox. They all go to Equinox.
Yeah, the Equinox Williamsburg, Colonial Williamsburg is fucking expensive. It's like 2 heads of oxen per month.
There we go.
Yeah. We finally found it.
Yeah, there you go. But no, it's So those are the guys who. There was one guy who wrote the test. There's a whole kind of a union. It's an association of all the guides. It's the funny. I recently went to the awards. They do like a award ceremony every year for stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
And they this was like a whole.
What are the categories?
They do stuff like best, book, like written about New York and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And they nominated me for my YouTube stuff, so I went, and I was like, all right, and I went, and it was fun. It's
Who
fun to
won
watch.
the YouTube?
This woman who's another guide, and she won for her stuff.
She a fraud?
No, not a fraud.
Bitch.
No, all right, easy guys, take it easy. No, she's nice.
We can beat her up.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay.
We could raise money through the patron.
Yeah. We'll get Wilfred dressed as the
shillelagh.
shillelagh. We'll get Wilfred and the shillelagh to
Let me
rally
tell
the
you.
troops.
It doesn't take a lot for me to want to hit a woman.
Oh my god.
Wilfred just hitting women in New York dressed in maroon and gold with a shillelagh. That would be kind of worth the damage done to women.
Worth his 6 years in prison.
But yeah, they'll laugh more than they'll cry.
So when you were a tour guide, how often were you going to?
I was doing a lot. I was doing like probably 4 times a week.
But how often were you going to
Statue of Liberty? I don't know. On the summers, I'd go a lot. I'd go a few times. I'd probably been to the Statue of Liberty close to 20 times.
What's the touristy thing that you don't ever want to do again?
I don't like going to Times Square. I don't like going to the restaurants in Times Square. A lot of times you have to take groups to restaurants, and I would have to take groups.
Like Applebee's?
Well, it's
Bubba Gumps?
similar. Yeah, I've been to Bubba Gumps.
Yeah, of course.
I went to Bubba Gumps. I went to like a Buca de Beppo, all those crazy, ridiculous places.
I love Buca de Beppo.
Is Bubba Gumps good?
No. It's ridiculous. But you have to go because those are the only places that can fit groups of like 60 people.
Oh, yeah.
So you had 60
Yeah, you'd
people.
have a group of like 50, and then there was another group of 50 with another guide, and you'd have to, like one time I did a thing when a band from Texas came to play the Thanksgiving Day parade, and I was their guide for like 5 days and just came back to them every day. And yeah, so you have to take them to those. That's one of the things I don't miss. But
So with these tour guide, you probably have your secret kind of like favorite things to do. Was there a cool thing about Liberty Island? Was there like a secret?
They have a museum now, which is kind of cool. I haven't been to that yet, but I'm not really. I mean, Liberty Island's kind of just there. You just go and you get out. I don't even like going there. Ellis Island's pretty cool. I think Ellis Island's kind of cool.
That's the one to go to.
I think it's the same cruise, the same ferry ride. You go to Liberty Island, then you go to Ellis Island, but Ellis Island's way more interesting.
Okay.
What do they got there?
Well, it's just a cooler building. It's a museum. The story of it is more interesting.
You know that painting I've got, the Kill Whitey painting?
Yeah.
I didn't realize, it took me years to realize that was Ellis Island.
Yeah.
Kill Whitey painting?
We found a painting on the street. Evan found it?
Evan found a painting on the street where it's a bunch of immigrants. I've got a photo, but it's a bunch of immigrants just standing stone-faced.
Oh, that's probably, Ellis Island.
And then, and someone, by the time Evan got to it, he found it on the street, had written Kill Whitey on the top.
And it's still hanging in. Is it in your apartment?
It's in my living room, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
I didn't realize it was Ellis Island until I looked up what that building was in the background.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Ellis Island, they say 40% of all Americans have at least one relative that's passed through Ellis Island, which is pretty wild.
Because that was the main hub for immigrants
at the time when immigrants were pouring in. So Ellis Island was open from 1892 to 1924, officially till 1954, but it really got most of it till 1924. 1892, the building burned down at the end of the 1890s, and then they built the one you see now in 1900. So from 1900 to 1924, in that building you see now, they say like over 12 million people passed.
But it's so crazy because how did that even work? Because your boat stopped there. The boat, processed.
Actually, the boat would stop in Manhattan, and then those people would get ferried over to Ellis Island. So if you were steerage, you went to Ellis Island. Rich people who were immigrating or whatever. So like if a boat like the Titanic, for example.
You didn't go to Ellis Island.
You didn't go to Ellis Island. But the people in steerage would. So like Jack Dawson or whatever he was in steerage. He would have gone to Ellis Island.
He died.
He's dead?
Yeah.
The door didn't make it anywhere.
He's dead?
He didn't get...
So the door was pretty big, but he just let Kate Winslet stay on it.
Yeah. Well, no, she didn't. She didn't let him on. Is what happened. Yeah.
Because she had to hold on to her.
You know, I've never seen that movie.
Really?
No, but I do know.
Pull up the movie. Let's watch that movie now.
But I do know exactly.
All of Titanic.
I know exactly where on the VHS Kate Winslet's tit comes out.
Really?
It's the beginning of the second tape.
Okay.
Cool. There was 2 tapes. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
A 2-tape movie was I never rented a two-taper.
Yeah, well, it was actually easier to see two-tape movies back then. Now it's harder to watch longer movies. You see a movie like 2 hours. I sit through 2 hours.
I like a 3-hour movie now.
I like to watch them,
see John
but
Wick
it's harder.
4.
It's gotten
Is
harder.
it that long?
It's 3 hours.
Good
Really?
Lord.
2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched The Irishman like 3 times.
Really?
Yeah, I just like
I like a long
putting
movie.
I like
I
putting
do
something
too.
on and then not having to worry about it ending, like because there's this feeling of loss. It's
I know.
I'm such a bitch.
Yeah, it's
But
sad.
that feeling of loss, so like at the end of the movie, where you're like, oh, it's over. Now I gotta do
Now I
something.
gotta be
Now I gotta
here.
live.
Yeah.
I
know
yeah.
what that's like.
But if you've got The Irishman on, then it never
It'll never
happens.
end.
It never
Yeah.
ends.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That really
Yeah.
is.
Some kind of poetic about
Yeah.
it.
About watching De
But-
Niro be
yeah.
old.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what were we even talking about there? Oh, you guys, here's a fact. Before, you guys know that the original time that they, when they dedicated the Statue of Liberty in 1886, that's when the first ticker tape parade happened. When they came back over to Manhattan, Grover Cleveland was the president at the time. They came back over to Manhattan and they were riding up to City Hall. Everyone was so amped up. They started throwing stuff from the windows.
From the offices, yeah.
And it was ticker tape because it was a financial district.
Yeah.
And it became a tradition.
Wow.
That was the first one. And so now I think the last one they did was for the
What year was that?
first responders, 1886.
Okay.
So they haven't done it since what, 2001?
No, like 2020 or something like that for the first
Oh.
responders, or 2021. I don't remember. One of those two. They did it for the first responders during.
Do they
COVID.
have special ticker tape now? that's,
Yeah, they do like little like
biodegradable?
streamers. Yeah, no, they just. What's funny is actually the last
Plastic.
the last person, like the last car that's in the parade, right behind them are the people cleaning it up.
Yeah.
So
I've
it's
seen
cleaned
that.
up immediately after they walk
Oh,
by.
really?
Yeah, it's very funny actually.
It's just a lot of like ducks with
'Cause
ticker
they do
tape
that-
in their eye. Like-
They do that for the New York Marathon. Like the last person coming through the New York Marathon.
Like the person who finishes last.
Well, there's like the people that are basically walking at the end.
Right.
And right behind them, like they'll decide who the last person is, and there'll be like cars behind them pulling up the gates.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh man, that must be
That's
so
a lot of pressure.
disheartening.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure on that person who's last. Like, I can't get in there. Behind them, the cars are just like
Yeah.
It's
inching forward.
honking.
Yeah.
just
Come
like
on.
just like 3 people looking at their watch,
Yeah. Like, come on.
waiting for this to be
Yeah.
over.
Doesn't
God,
the
I want
New
to go
York-
home.
The New York Marathon starts on Staten Island, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
It starts
God.
over the
Brutal.
running over the Verrazano.
That's how the whole inspiration is to run away from Staten
That's where you get
Island.
the energy to run 26.2
Yeah.
miles, like just to get as far
Get
away
away
as
from-
possible.
They started
Staten
by
Island.
having some Italian family start talking.
Yeah. And that's how the marathon started.
Yeah. Well, the marathon used to be just laps around Central Park.
Really?
I think it was 6 laps around Central Park, and then they're like, "This is kind of boring," and they made it all the boroughs.
Because it goes up from
It goes from Staten Island to Brooklyn,
through
Queens, the Bronx,
Williamsburg,
and
Queens.
then Manhattan ends in Central Park.
But I think it only touches the Bronx, right?
I don't
like
know
it's
how
like
much
the
of
Willis
it.
Avenue Bridge or something.
Maybe I think it goes through. I think it cuts like through and comes down.
Maybe Yankee Stadium. It's not
Yeah.
going that far. In.
No, I don't think it goes too far. I mean, the Bronx is huge.
Yeah.
It's only stay in the South Bronx, I think, but it is. It does go through all the boroughs. It's pretty cool, actually, to be run through all the boroughs. That'd be kind of nice.
So, since we've covered a lot of Statue of Liberty,
We covered a lot.
Do you want to enlighten us to some maybe tour guide favorites if somebody listening to this podcast is visiting New York City?
Well, I like to go out. Well, I guess if you're here for the first time, you kind of got to see all the touristy stuff, right?
But there's got to be something that like is touristy that a lot of people miss.
Well, I think I think for people who live in New York, even, I think it's cool to go to like Queens. I love going to Queens.
Oh, Queens is. I still want to go on like a food tour.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do
Flushing and
tours.
Jackson Heights.
Yeah, Jackson Heights. You go to Jackson Heights. I used to take groups, people who live in New York, to Jackson Heights, and you just like eat.
Yeah.
and then you go to Flushing.
I
We've
went
done
on
that a little bit.
It's great.
I went on a date with a girl where we
All right, brag about it.
Wow.
Here we go.
Somebody's had sex.
we didn't have sex that day. Actually, here's why we didn't have sex that day is because
You ate too much food and your tummy hurt.
You threw up your arepa.
You pooped your pants.
She had told. Did I tell you this?
She pooped
I don't know
her
if I told
pants.
you this story yesterday, but she was like, I recently had sex with a guy who tested positive for herpes.
Oh.
So I just got tested. We can't have sex today.
She
So that
said this. She said this while you guys were eating momos.
Yeah. No, this was when we went back to my place and we were
Nepal.
like
Oh,
making
nice.
out.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
then the
brag.
next date, we have a next date, and so we're like getting drinks. We're at that place where we're about to like decide whose place
Came
to
back
go to.
positive.
So
Right.
she's like, all right, so I have some bad news. Last night I had sex with a guy whose dick was so big that I just can't have sex today because it hurts.
What? That's what she told you?
That's what she told me. And I
It
was like,
the Statue of Liberty's brother. Bet that I feel like that
Wow.
would be a red flag.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
Well, I guess.
I mean, we haven't hung out.
I'm not
since,
bothered by somebody having, an open sex
Sure.
life, but just being like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
it's pretty beat up down there.
Yeah.
But good for her for being honest.
I was about to say,
Sure.
that's what I'm impressed by. She just gave you all the info, just straight up.
Yeah, it didn't
Barely
feel
knew you.
good to hear
No.
that. I'd
Wow.
rather have heard she had herpes, but
She's like, oh, well, also he had herpes too.
Yeah. I thought that's what you were going to say
Yeah.
for a second. I had sex with another guy
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
tested positive for herpes. It turns out she's just patient 0. She's giving all these guys herpes. So you're just saying Queens, but what
okay.
about the what are they called? What's that thing up in the north of Inwood?
the cloisters.
Yeah, like
The cloisters is great. Like those parks. I think I love Washington.
Isn't
I
the
love Washington
cloisters
Heights.
they moved a castle brick by brick?
They recreated like what was like a
Did I tell you that story?
monastery.
Keith was telling me I had never heard of the cloisters before.
Keith Johnston?
No, Keith from the moving company.
Oh, okay.
He was we were on a job together for the first time. He's like, you should go to the cloisters. It's like a very romantic place. It's so romantic that one time I was on a date with my girlfriend there, and I caught my dad cheating on my mom.
Whoa! Holy crap!
That rocks. Shout out Keith's dad.
His dad was on a date with another girl at the cloisters, and that's the beginning of their
Oh
divorce.
my god!
He
that's
told?
brutal.
He snitched?
Yeah, he snitched.
Whoa. New feelings towards Keith.
Well, I mean, he took his side. He picked his
Bros
side.
before hoes.
Yeah, yeah, that's-
Yeah, your mom's a hoe.
Your mom was not cheating.
My dad is my bro.
Yeah.
And my mom is
My
a
mom
hoe.
who's getting cheated on is the hoe.
What about what about that fort on Staten Island?
Yeah, I mean, look there. I think
What's
okay.
the
If you're
fort
gonna,
in Staten Island? What's that fort?
which fort? Wait, which fort are you talking about?
Below the Verrazano.
Like
Right when you're crossing the Verrazano, there's a big-
yeah. There's not. I mean, I wouldn't say that would be. I think Governor's Island is a cool place to go. Actually, speaking of forts, I think Governor's Island would be a fun thing to do and just walk around and spend the day there.
Which one's the one that the F stops on?
Roosevelt.
That's Roosevelt
Island.
Island.
Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very boring island.
It's a little bit boring,
But it was built as a utopian.
no. It was built actually. It was initially like a insane asylum and a prison.
Oh no, but in the 80s or whatever, the 70s, they wanted to make it where like
Roosevelt
all
Island?
yeah, like where all incomes live together.
Well, they have housing and stuff on there that it's cheaper to live there and stuff. But it used to be like a totally
yeah, and the facade of the insane asylum.
well, they have
there.
the facade of the smallpox hospital.
Oh, that's what
That's
is.
what it is. Yeah, it's a smallpox hospital. It's pretty creepy. And then there literally still is. I think there's still a mental hospital there. There's a couple of but now they have like a tech. Cornell Tech is there and other stuff. And
It feels like you're just at a hospital.
I went
Yeah,
to
it
a
is kind
party
of-
in that hotel.
on Roosevelt Island,
Yeah, I went to a birthday party there.
how was that?
It felt very, like when you go to Queens, you go to like, have you ever been to like a Queensy kind of upscale thing?
Oh yeah.
A bunch of Dominican kids in like tucked in black shirts,
Oh nice.
that kind of vibe.
Are they dressed like The Rock in that turtleneck?
Yeah, it's a little that vibe. There's a specific thing to like Queens turning up where it's like, it's trashy, flashy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like where you're like, this is nice, but
Matt Pavich.
Is Matt Pavich from Queens?
yeah.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
Croat
He's
Croat
like
from
he's
Queens.
got a very big Euro trash
vibe.
vibe.
He'll
to
pull
him.
it out. He'll
Oh,
pull
that's
out
so
his,
funny.
his Euro trashness really easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I do. When you were talking about Jackson Heights, the herpes aside, I think Jackson Heights is probably what I would do if I was.
I think Flushing is right up there
and
too.
Flushing. But the thing is, you can go to Jackson Heights, hop right on the 7, and get to Flushing in this span and eat both places. That's what I would do. I'd take people.
Jackson Heights, I feel like you get a little bit more diversity.
Jackson
with
Heights.
food.
Well, there's a lot of diversity in Flushing too, and there's like history in Flushing too, because
And
Flushing
also,
was a city.
you can see where that war happened between the aliens and Will Smith.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
He fought kind of a one-man war versus a giant cockroach.
Oh,
Yeah, he shot down the saucer, the flying saucer in Flushing Meadows Park.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was for the World's Fair?
That's for the World's Fair. There's 2 World's Fairs in Flushing Meadows Park. In fact, the UN
I thought
used
they
to be
built
headquartered
that for Men in
there.
Black.
Really?
Briefly, they headquartered it at what the building is that now is the Queen's Museum. It was headquartered there.
Is the Queen's Museum cool?
It is cool. It actually it's a really cool, speaking of non-touristy things, there's a really cool exhibit there called the Panorama. And it's a scaled down, like almost exact replica of New York City.
Oh, I've seen that.
It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and
it's
you can
like
walk
literally
around. It's
block
like this,
for block.
Yeah, and you can walk around this huge shed pretty much and look down on it, and that you could point out everything.
When was it made?
It was made for the World's Fair, I think, but it's been updated. The last time it was updated, I think, was in the 90s, though, or actually maybe the early 2000s.
God, that must be.
They had to get rid of.
They had to get rid of a couple,
specific
a couple
thing.
buildings, but no, I think it has been updated, and
That must be really sad to. It was like, all right, we'll put a Sweet Queen there and a Sweet Queen there.
yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, look at all these 7-Elevens.
Yeah.
How cool. Yeah, it has changed, but I think that's a really cool.
I love that thing.
It's a really cool little spot, and
That's in Queens.
That's in Queens. That's the Queens Museum.
Is there anything you want to plug besides?
No, not really. I mean, just the YouTube, I guess. Tom DNYC. That's all me on Instagram, I guess. I don't really post too much on Instagram. But
Your show's back too, right?
The Wednesday show?
Yeah.
I do the Wednesday show. That's fun at Poco. That's at What Else Comedy. And then I actually, this is a fun thing. You guys want to come one day. It's a monthly show.
Oh, yeah.
I do a monthly show called Tom D's Big New York Show. And I have a couple comedians from New York. And then I teach, I guess I do like a PowerPoint on something in New York. Like this past one, I covered the East Village and Bartholdi. Actually, I talked about Bartholdi and a couple other people. And then I interview an author, and I interviewed this woman Sharon Zukin. This past one, she's like the expert on gentrification, actually.
Oh, cool.
And she's a professor, and so that's a fun show. I do that once a month, the first Saturday of the month at Caveat.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, you should check it out.
So everybody should go to at Tom
D NYC.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, perfect.
Yeah, check it out.
Wilfred, do you want to plug anything?
I'm going to Boston in May 19th. Look, that might not happen.
Okay.
I might, because they're not paying a lot, so I might not want to do it.
Okay.
So just follow me at Wilfred Padua.
I'm Andy Haynes. This is The Known Zone. Please follow us at The Known Zone Pod on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, please like, subscribe, review the podcast on Apple.
Reviews are big.
Podcasts.
Also, what's our email, Autumn?
theknownzonepodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, send us an email.
Say it every episode.
Send us an email. You can ask us to talk about a certain subject. You can ask us for advice. You can send us news.
You can correct us.
Yeah, you can correct us. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can be like, that was wrong, and we will disregard, but we will read it and make fun of you.
Yeah.
Probably pull up pictures of you based on whatever your screen name is.
Just Google you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll kind of roast you, but it'd be fun for you probably to see these comedians.
Yeah, you're a part of the pod.
You're part of history.
I'm Andy Haynes also on all the socials, and I will be at the DC Improv May 5th through 7th and the Punchline Philly May 25th through 27th, and just added the Music Hall in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, June 2nd. Come on down.
Bye, guys.
Bye.